What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Coach Plugged In channel. And today I have a special guest with me. My wife is here. And so my last video was about the new Apple M1 MacBook Pros. And today I'm going to be doing a side-by-side comparison, task by task, with the iPad Pro and the MacBook Pro. But the reason I have my wife here is because I did let her use the M1 MacBook Pro 13-inch right here for the last 24 hours, and I wanted to see her impression. So what would you rate this MacBook Pro right here, new M1 chip?
I would rate it a 9.0.
All right, so 9.0, that is really high. You have been a user of MacBooks since 2010?
2010, for 10 years.
For 10 years, been using a MacBook Pro, and currently you have a 2017 15-inch MacBook Pro?
Yes.
All right, so, and that one right there was like, butterfly keyboard. It was one of the first models that came out with the new touch bars, and you have been using that right there for the last 3-4 years. So how did you like this one compared to that one?
First off, I really liked the keyboard. The keyboard reminds me of my first computer my first MacBook Pro back in 2013, right after I graduated high school. And it reminded me of that keyboard. I really liked using that keyboard. I really don't like using the keyboard that I have now with the 2017 MacBook Pro 15-inch. The keys just, I don't know, they just don't have that.
Butterfly keyboards had to go.
Yeah.
So you are a creator, you are in the marketing profession, you are a public relations director. So you do a lot of task by task. You're jumping from Microsoft apps, you're jumping into Adobe Suite. So tell me how fast this computer was compared to computers that you've used in the past.
The programs open up a whole lot faster. Usually I'm sitting at my desk and I'm waiting for a program to pop up. And there might just be a lot of graphics that are playing in the background, but this laptop just hit it out of the park for me. I was able to get a lot more done in a short amount of time from going from one program to the other. I was using my split screen a lot, so I was able to go back and forth from emails to Microsoft Word to Adobe. I even used Canva to make some of our graphics, so it's a lot better than the one that I'm using right now.
So you've been seeing me over the last year and a half, 2 years, been doing a lot of my work exclusively on the iPad Pro, and you've seen how snappy it is. You've seen how I've been able to edit videos with LumaFusion. What do you think is going to happen when I do the side-by-side comparison today? Do you think this MacBook right here really makes the iPad Pro obsolete? Or do you think that the iPad Pro is still going to win in a lot of these battles? You're not, and she's not a tech reviewer whatsoever. She literally has a computer that's a Mac because of the fact that she got it when she was 16, 17 years old, something like that right there. And she's been using them ever since. But what do you think?
I think the MacBook Pro is going to win over the iPad because of the speed that it has. I think programs are going to open up a lot faster, especially when it comes to editing videos and pictures. I think it's just going to win over the iPad.
Now, side note, a lot of you may know that, so the Apple M1 chips, a lot of developers are starting to make their applications for this new M1 chip, but a lot of developers have not. And so Adobe Suite has not updated their applications to the M1 chip yet, so you still have to use them on the Intel-based program way, and you have to download Rosetta for that. It's really seamless, and also one of the things that I really like about it is it's still very snappy when you open things up, so I am interested in how that is going to work for sure. But how much faster, if you had to say like 1, 2, 3, up to 10 times faster, how much faster is this MacBook Pro than your 2017 MacBook?
I would say 4 times faster. And I actually did a comparison yesterday at work between my 2017 MacBook Pro versus the MacBook Pro 13-inch M1. And it was, I would say, 4 times faster in bringing up programs and logging in, especially when it came to my email for some reason. I use Outlook, and the speed on the MacBook Pro M1 was way faster than my MacBook Pro 2017.
And she's not using just any 2017 15-inch MacBook Pro. It has more storage, it has more RAM. You know, it was one of the top of the line computers back in 2017, and this M1 chip MacBook Pro right here, this is the base model. This is 8 gigs of RAM. This is 256 gigs of storage. So this is not like, you know, the higher end. Now, obviously, the future looks bright. If a 16-inch MacBook Pro M1 chip were out right now, would you try to sell your MacBook?
Absolutely. I would absolutely sell my MacBook that I currently have so I can get this one. And I actually really want him to keep this so I can have it.
So all of those things right there to be announced in the future. I really like this computer, and so I'm really anxious to diving into the iPad Pro and the MacBook Pro. I think a lot of you are waiting for those render times. A lot of people know that these apps are going to open just as fast on each of these two devices. The chips are almost comparable, but this new M1 chip is definitely going to steal the show in a lot of ways. But those render times, people are wanting to know. LumaFusion, Final Cut Pro, how are the render times when it comes to 4K footage? So that's what I'm going to be doing the rest of my day. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Wifey in the office, man. And that right there is all for the M1 MacBook Pro, my wife's impressions. This MacBook Pro is definitely a beast. You know, stay tuned, stay plugged into the channel so that you can see the next video, which is the review, task by task, between the iPad Pro and the MacBook Pro. But until then,
subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave some comments, and stay plugged in.
Absolutely. We'll check y'all in the next one. Peace.